Episode 1. Episode opens up in 2017. Takafumi's uncle, Yasuke Shibazaki, has finally woken up from his 17-year-long coma after a truck accident. Takafumi was only 17 when this happened. Immediately after waking up, Uncle asks about his sister, Tafumi's mother, as well as the rest of the family. He responds that after he fell into a coma, the family fought about what to do with him until it ruined all their relationships. Uncle claims that he was actually in another world named Grand Bahamel all this time. Takafumi thinks he went insane because of the coma until Uncle shows him his powers by creating wind and fire out of nothing. Takafumi takes him to his home and uses his powers to make money off videos on the internet through ads. When talking to him, Takafumi figures out his obsession with video games and consoles, especially Sega. The mere thought of the console's decline hits Uncle so hard that he chooses to make himself forget. Uncle is fascinated by inventions like the internet and new designs of smartphones that his nephew teaches him about. When Takafumi brings up his adventures in the other world, Uncle conjures up visual representations of his time in the dimension. Everybody in Ganbahamel is extremely good-looking, and all of them found Uncle quite ugly and considered him an orc. Even when he attempted to help a drought-stricken village with an irrigation invention, he was captured as it was against their religion. When Uncle realizes he can buy anything online, he shows Takafumi a new way of buying. Instead of paying shipping costs, Uncle just travels to the place using his powers to pick the order directly. When asked about his relationship with women, Takafumi figures out that Uncle actually accidentally proposed to a girl in the other world by giving her a ring, only to sell it in the next town as he did not realize what it meant. She kept following him after that. When Takafumi returns a knife to Uncle through his pocket storage dimension, he realizes that it looks like he is stabbing him. He and Uncle have an epiphany at the same moment and use this to stage a video where he stabs Uncle, but he survives, which becomes popular. Takafumi then declares that his uncle woke up in 2017 fall, but this was only the start of his new life with him. Episode 2. With their YouTube views falling, Uncle suggests they should spend less. He ordered a copy of Sega Saturn Reader's Choice List, as not knowing the results of it had helped him survive. He is distraught to know that Guardian Heroes wasn't number 1. In fact, it came in 197th place. When Takafumi brings up RPG games, Uncle reminisces his own RPG-like experience in the other world. He required the god-freezing sword to kill the Blaze Dragon. But when Mabel, whose heart needed to be freed from ice, mentioned she needs Powa Powa blossoms from the top of the Mount Marchid, Uncle just left. Certain that he would never remember this detail, he went and killed the Blaze Dragon without it, leaving Takafumi disappointed. Takafumi orders the Sega Saturn console as well as Guardian Heroes, and the uncle and nephew start playing. It's New Year's Eve and Uncle tells Takafumi about the New Year's in the other world. While everybody celebrated, Uncle just sat alone and went to his room, as that is his personality. When Mabel came and asked for advice on becoming stronger, Uncle seemed to bestow wise words, only to encourage her to stay a recluse if she wanted to. She was overjoyed and went back home. He even rejected her god-freezing swords as it was too cold. Their New Year's is celebrated by playing games, chatting with each other, and drinking soba. In January 2018, Takafumi's friend Fujimiya sees Uncle talking to himself and finds him weird, not knowing he is her friend's uncle. Takafumi arrives and meets her, leaving her flustered as she is clearly attracted to him and has been since they were in the same school. He invites her to his house, and she believes the two of them will be alone. When she arrives, Takafumi is out, and she is ambushed by Uncle, who tries erasing her memories. He is stopped by Takafumi, who tells him she's his friend. Uncle tells her that he's a YouTuber and practices magic, but she's skeptical. When he reads her mind, she thinks he's a mind reader or con man. Uncle has figured out that she likes his nephew and utters her thoughts out loud. She had changed clothes believing Takafumi would be alone, leaving her embarrassed. She wants Takafumi to cut ties with him, not knowing the entire truth. Another person has now met the mysterious uncle. Episode 3. Takafumi returns home to find Sumika with the elf from his Aujison's memories. 75 minutes earlier, Takafumi informs his uncle that Sumika will be arriving there later. Takafumi then reads an email addressed to his uncle, who couldn't read it because it was written in English. Hence, Takafumi uses a translation app to make it legible, and he then warns his uncle that he will be jobless soon. The cause of this is due to YouTube's newly imposed restrictions wanting users to have 1K subs and 4,000 hours of watch time from users. It's then revealed that the source of the low viewership and sub count is due to Uncle's reply comment. Uncle then confessed to Takafumi that he hadn't seen such a response from people since his time in the sealed city, Luvoldran. It was at that time 1,000 monsters broke through a barrier surrounding the place. Dying to find out what happened, Takafumi is then shown the memory of when his uncle was in the city. In the memory, the elf clears up a misunderstanding that Uncle was an orc and later uses a Chinese idiom that Uncle clarifies was a translation error from the magic he was using. The memory continues. As Elf talks about the barrier surrounding the town, Uncle casts a spell to destroy it. Outwim, an army of giant cyclops led by a cloud dragon then appears outside of the city, ready to invade the place. When Elf leaps into action, the barrier re-erects around the city and she crashes into the reformed barrier. It turns out that Uncle asked the spirits to repair the broken barrier. Despite how Uncle was suspected of being the one who broke the barrier, Elf clears the situation upon her return. In return for not telling everyone there that he broke the barrier, the elf asks Uncle to take her to dinner that night. However, by that time, Uncle had fled on a wagon to avoid being extorted by her in the future. Recalling that he used to ask the spirits for help in the past, Uncle pleads on his YT page for people to subscribe there so he can save it. Initially, Takafumi is saddened by that as internet trolls prey on such weakness. However, the opposite occurs, and Uncle gets enough subs to save his channel. By that time, Sumika arrives and wonders what is going on there between Takafumi and his uncle. Afterward, Sumika lectures Uncle about the social decline of middle-aged men in the appropriate workforce and how he, as a YouTuber, isn't financially adequate. On the other hand, Uncle brushes it off, and Sumika mentions that Takafumi isn't able to have a girlfriend live with him due to him living there. Hearing that, Uncle suggests that Sumika live there as well, but Takafumi refuses that suggestion and leaves to do some errands. Once Takafumi is gone, Uncle tries to have a heart-to-heart with Sumika about Takafumi's relationship with her. However, Uncle's comparisons with video game romances don't align with her. Hence, Uncle steps out of the room. And when Sumika tries to apologize to him, Takafumi's aunt appears. Takafumi's aunt looks exactly like Elf, only in Uncle's clothing. She then tries to continue her heart-to-heart with Sumika until Takafumi returns home and outs her as Uncle. After an epiphany, Takafumi suggests they create another YouTube video about Uncle's transformation magic. Although Uncle refuses at first, Takafumi convinces him after promising to play Guardian Heroes with him. After the video was in the process of being uploaded to the internet, they watched a memory of Takafumi's past with Sumiko that reveals their relationship was bittersweet. Once the video was fully uploaded to the internet, they watched it. Although it was a significant success in viewership, Uncle is left despondent how the video didn't include him playing Guardian Heroes and reforms back into his true self. This shocks Sumika as Takafumi cheers about the success of the video they uploaded. Despite Uncle's pride as a YouTuber torn to shreds, a deluxe sushi dinner was enjoyed when the payout from the video was delivered. Episode 4. A flashback of Takafumi shows him being bullied by two students about the fantasy-themed light novel he was reading. Eventually, an even bigger bully Sumika handles the situation between the two bullies, earning Takafumi's respect. This event is shown to Uncle who, like Takafumi, was enamored with Sumika on how she handled the situation in her youth. Noting that she became more girly in middle school, Sumika shows the two an old picture of her and Takafumi as evidence. Impressed by it, Uncle takes several pictures of it with his old phone, and Sumika offers to send it to his phone via email. However, Uncle claims that his phone is incapable of accepting emails and calls, which raises the question of how he can contact Takafumi. Sumika then notes how delicious the coffee tastes, and Takafumi reveals that Uncle gave him 10k yen for his birthday, so he purchased a coffee maker. After Sumika comments on how practical giving him 10k yen to Takafumi, Uncle comments how he didn't know what was appropriate for someone like him in that day and age. For her birthday present to Takafumi, Sumika sends Takafumi a text of a picture of her in a swimsuit from middle school. Immediately, Takafumi asked his phone how to delete the picture since he could be arrested for having an underage picture on his phone. Then, receiving a notification about a sale on coffee beans, Takafumi rushed out of the apartment. Uncle then tells Sumika that the picture of her lost to some coffee beans ad in terms of content appeal, followed by an outburst that she has causing Uncle's coffee to spill. He freezes her in the coffee. Startled by this outcome, Uncle uses some fire spells to thaw her out and offers her some towels to use for a shower. While Sumika takes her shower, Uncle steps out for a couple of hours and leaves some of Takafumi's clothes for her to wear as hers dries off. When Sumika's done with her shower, she puts on Takafumi's top, and after this, Takafumi enters the scene. A stare-off between the two occurs, and Sumika then shrieks in embarrassment, causing Takafumi to leave the scene while apologizing. Later, Sumika confronts Takafumi, still wearing just Takafumi's top, and the two have a brief heart-to-heart with each other about Sumika being so responsible. Takafumi then notes that the flag he posted for his uncle was positioned at danger, and immediately, Uncle returns home. Informing his uncle that he saw Sumika in an improper state, Takafumi requests that his uncle erase his memory of it. Before Uncle can do it, Sumika stops him, and the two continue their heart-to-heart moment. Uncle watches, perplexed by the situation, but seeing that bags of coffee are there, he offers to make some more. Uncle takes a reluctant elf back to his inn, and present-day Uncle interrupts it by asking if Takafumi wants to play with him. Takafumi then has Uncle play Burning Rangers instead and continues to watch the memory as Uncle leads her to his room at the end. From there, Uncle thanks Elf for taking him back to his room. And the following day, she confronts him and demands to know his plans for that day. Once the memory was over, Sumika takes a drink and forces Uncle to drink too. This causes him to become drunk. And when Sumika tries to bail because of it, Takafumi stops her, and Uncle decides to take her home via a wind spell. The outcome of this makes the three of them fly high in the sky. And that is all for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on notifications for our next video. Take care.